I'm Dave Stewart, leader of the Isle of Wight Council, and I want to start this video by thanking everyone for their commitment towards managing coronavirus. This island has really pulled together. Our business community, our island community generally, our council staff, everyone has done their part to keep the island safe. Now we know the coronavirus hasn't gone away and we know it's going to be with us for some time, but we have a really robust outbreak management plan. We have a clear recovery plan for the island. So let's keep our community safe, let's keep ourselves safe, and let's work together to manage this virus as we go forward.
The purpose of this video is to provide you, the business community on the island, with information about managing outbreaks, and in particular, what you need to do for your business if you unfortunately have to deal with an outbreak scenario.
It's been a very different last 6 months, certainly for all of us, and certainly for businesses. So what we saw back in kind of March time was the introduction of some restriction regulations that the government introduced very, very quickly with the aim to stop the spread of the virus. Now, island businesses had a major change in that there was restrictions on what businesses and services could do. I'm happy and really thankful to island businesses that they really embraced those regulations and they understood the aim of those regulations. It is a business decision of whether you've traded or not. And that business decision comes from a risk assessment. So what the government has asked is you to operate COVID securely. And what that means really is bringing COVID as a hazard into your risk assessments. So every business has risk assessments in place for hazards within their business. All they've been asked to do is to introduce that COVID as a hazard. So it does need, and there's a legal requirement based on that under the Health and Safety at Work Act. So they've got to protect their customers, they've got to protect their employees, and now we're protecting the wider community. And we're also, the measures that they put in place will assist us on that road to recovery. So yes, we've asked businesses to incorporate COVID-19 into their risk assessments. That means going back to basics. What is the hazard? What are we dealing with COVID-19? The two principles that we've all been adhering to and we all know very well are keep your distance from individuals and also enhanced cleaning. Either enhanced cleaning with hand washing or enhanced cleaning with surfaces, particularly those surfaces that have had hand contact surfaces. So businesses have been asked to risk assess that, and the government have produced a wide variety of guidelines to assist on what control measures are necessary. What control measures will be effective at making their business COVID secure. Now, those guidelines are vast and they are sector specific. So you must make sure you're reading the guideline that is specific to your business, and that will talk every business through what they need to do, the mitigation and the control measures. So businesses have had that guidance there from the government, but like I say, some of those documents are quite lengthy, and we have been there as a team, myself and all my team, working predominantly from home and giving those advice and reassurance to businesses. And we are still there. We are still there to do that. The guidance changes quite regularly as we know more about the virus, and different sectors are opening, different guidance documents are there. So we all need to review our risk assessments, and risk assessments are predominantly based on, we've already talked about social distancing, so it is based on human behaviours. Therefore, you need to be assessing all the time whether your control measures, your mitigation are still effective. Are they still effective at reducing the risk of COVID transmission within your business? Have a look around, observe, are people following signage? Are things effective? Is the sanitizer topped up? Are people using it? These are the things. Go back to your risk assessment. Businesses won't get risk assessment right first time, and we don't want a document on a shelf. It's got to be an active document. So COVID secure, operating COVID securely and ensuring those control measures are implemented and are effective is your role. It's your role, and at the moment, prevention is the best defence we've got against this virus. And that risk assessment process, COVID secure, is your role in that prevention. So you should be prepared as a business for what you would do if you get a phone call and somebody says, I dined in your pub, in your restaurant, I stayed with you in your accommodation, I've now tested positive. You have an employee phone up, they're positive, or one of their family members is feeling unwell, has symptoms. What do? That is foreseeable, so you need to plan for that. That needs to have been thought through within your risk assessment, within your environment, within your team there. Who do you report it to? Do you know that? Can you answer that? You need to know. Public Health England, Health Protection Team is where you would report that information. They will then ask you a number of questions, and you need to have some thought around the answers to those questions. So you need to have gained that information. They will then respond based on that information. That response is not prescriptive across all business sectors. It will be a tailored, risk-assessed response depending on the circumstances. And we all know response rapidly and appropriately is the best way of containing any sort of outbreak. Whether it be an outbreak of coronavirus, a different bacteria, a different virus. We have dealt with, as environmental health professionals and as a public health team, that's our day-to-day work. The response will be led by Public Health England, it will be led by the experts, but they need that information. So they need you as a business to have captured that information so they can utilise that and make that risk assessment and advise what the response is needed. So another key element for businesses is we've talked about getting tested and the tracing system, the national tracing system. That tracing system is dependent on some of that information that you as a business hold. So it is vital that you keep that information that you need to keep for customers that are coming into your business for that 21-day period. Now that response will be in conjunction with ourselves here at Environmental Health, here on the Isle of Wight Council, in addition to our public health team within the Isle of Wight Council. These are frameworks and working relationships that have been in place for numerous years, ever since viruses and bacteria were here. It's not just about COVID-19. So let me reassure you, we have those working relationships. And they will use those expertise to respond. Your role is to identify and to report that. And in reporting that, you will need to think about what questions you will be asked. So the government, with NHS Test and Trace, have produced some action cards. They will be really useful to you as a business in getting prepared for this. So please find your action cards. They are sector specific. There are numerous ones out there because there's no one size fits all. A bit like risk assessment, there's no one size fits all. Every business sector, every business activity has a different risk associated with it. So do find the one that's appropriate for your business. Have a look at it. There's links on there, useful information. Make sure you know that. Be prepared. So you've identified the situation, you've responded, you've made that right call to Public Health England. They will risk assess, they will capture that information you've said, they will also have their own information and they will make an assessment on what are the appropriate control measures for your business to take. Those control measures can be wide-ranging, they might just be enhanced cleaning, they might be just monitoring, or they could be to close the business. And we'd aim to do that through a voluntary agreement with yourselves, but there are powers there, as you would expect. There are powers there for the local authority to issue directions on businesses, on parts of premises, on open spaces, to allow for that control, to allow for, if we find ourselves in a situation where we have a number of cases that are linked to a setting, linked to a workplace, linked to an outdoor area, linked to an event, we can take action. To summarise, we've talked about risk assessments. They remain important, and operating COVID securely with those appropriate mitigation is critical for you as a business to continue that risk assessment. It's an active document, review that. We are here as a team, myself and all my team members, they are here. If you have any queries, if you want reassurance, we are here. Our role right now is to support businesses. We will be coming out and doing spot checks. So do use that opportunity when any of us are in the business to ask questions, even if it is to interpretation of guidance. We've been out to many businesses. We know kind of what works, what doesn't work. Our communications department within the Isle of Wight Council is here to guide and assist you if needed. It's important that we act appropriately, and it's important we get the right messages out. As I said, there'll be no one action, there's no prescriptive action, it will be on a risk assessment basis. The likelihood is that all those expertise and those agencies will get together, and the likelihood is it will be us as environmental health, because we're based here on the island. We've worked with you many times before. It'll be one of me or my team that will make contact with you and advise you what those actions are. Please make contact with us. We want to hear from you. And again, I thank island businesses during the whole restrictions and now going forward. There are regulations there, there are enforcement powers there. But I'm really pleased to say, as an Isle of Wight Council, we have not had to use any of those powers because island businesses have been responsible, and I do hope that you continue to be responsible and do the right thing.
You've heard from my colleague about how you can manage coronavirus and COVID in your business situation, in your business setting, and the sort of things that you need to think about. But I think it's also important to remember that none of us are in this individually. We are in this together. Together, we can support ourselves, we can support our businesses, we can support our community, and we can support the island. And in its service delivery across the council is here to support you, to provide you with advice and guidance. We are all in this together.